lot of extra time waiting for the acolyte. I am gonna catch that fool. You will think I'm really cool. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed.
Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is September 22, 2023. I almost said 2022. That'd be nice, 22 on 22. But no, it is indeed 2023. I'm pretty sure. Yep, all right, confirm. My name's Dave. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me today. Looks like I got 60 hunters hanging out at the moment. Jonathan's squeaking in the chat. Hello, Jonathan. MX meowing. All right. I've got some animals in the chat. It's spooky time, says TJ Mason. Hello, hello. Organic. Welcome on in. K morning to you. Tarako as well. Ectoplasmatic goo. Hello. Lady Nutsy, nice to see you as always. Mac, welcome on in. Ignore the meow greetings and hello, Dave, says John. All right. Well, I'll try my best. Too late. They were seen. Hey, Dallas and Diamond, good morning to you. Jason, hello. Warden, nice to see you. Daniel even has a jack-o'-lantern display picture. Looking sharp, Daniel. Getting in the spooky mood here. Sean, hope you're having a super brie day. Eh? A super day, not just a super day, a super brie day. I like it. I'll take puns wherever in wordplay, wherever they can pop up. Samuel, Zappy, hello. Scrib, nice to see you. Welcome on in, Lynn. Alex, Vivified. Well, today, indeed, we're going to touch base on Halloween a little bit. It's just around the corner. September is going to be over before you know it. Time is flying on by. And we've been looking at Halloween, actually. When was it that we fired this up? Let me see here. When was this back on? August 9. We pulled Halloween, came back into the forefront of our minds a little bit. Actually, that was a little bit later than we wanted to get started on it. But back in August 9, we started reviewing feedback, as we often do, from events. Especially events are a great way where when they're live, we kind of write down a lot of feedback, a lot of sentiment that we get from players, suggestions, all that stuff, and we tuck it away. And we set a date on it for a few months before the next time that event is going to run. And back in August 9, it came time to pull out those feedback notes from last year. So from 2022, kind of the two largest things that stood out were one, Insidious Incense. That's a tongue twister. It didn't feel particularly fun to use with Scream Cheese, as well as the Boon that was just added last year. It was fun, although it felt a little weird to feel sort of forced to have to use the Cauldron trap to get that Boon effect going. And there was lots of other little kind of maybe small nitty-gritty details that we had jotted down. But these were kind of the two big things that stood out to us that we thought, well, we need a little bit of brainstorming, a little bit of ideation. How do we want to address these kind of feedback that we had written down from players last year? And, the incense being one. I think the root of the issue here was mouse drop, multiple mouse drake at a time. You tend to drop a decent quantity of mouse drake when it's dropping. And so +1 didn't feel very significant. It felt very insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So this year, what we're experimenting with is having the incense double mouse drake. And so it'll kind of be a little bit more proportional. You know, when you get maybe one pungent pumpkin to drop and you get +1 pumpkin, that's a double, right? But the kind of the economy of mouse drake is much different. So, you know, the hope there is that we'll bring it in line to feel a little bit more how it feels with some of the other resources. What do you make bone fort from? What's this called? The marsh marrow, of course. There's some delicious puns in the Halloween items that I love. The ghost peppers, etc. So we're kind of hoping that'll make it a little bit more fun to use. Like I said, there's kind of feedback we had jotted down from last year that a lot of hunters found like, I wish I could use this here, but it just kind of feels like it doesn't really do anything if I use it with scream cheese. Release the ghost, says Sean. I love all the Halloween cheese. Just has a special place in my heart. I don't know what it is. They're all pretty unique and distinct. I like the poltergeist and the scream cheese, especially made from avocados. There's like we're saying earlier, wordplay. I can't pass that up when it shows up in the game. Organic, you're very excited for your first MH Halloween in over a decade. Well, welcome back. Looks like you're taking a little bit of a break. Welcome back. The Halloween event is a whole lot of fun, so I'm hoping you have some fun with it as well. Oh, Flemmy, nice to see you. Welcome on in. I can't wait for a beanstalk potion. That might be a good little segue into maybe some other things, because hey, the boon it does give you some potions, doesn't it? The other major thing we wrote down from last year was players feeling compelled to use the Boiling Cauldron trap. So, to refresh your memory, that it gained a special effect in the Gloomy Greenwood, and it could produce some of the special potions from the Greenwood. So you just got more potions. Basically, that trap was more powerful, kind of being imbued with the magic of the Greenwood. But that had some friction. That had some rough edges around it, especially considering trap skins. A lot of hunters would pull out a lot of, spooky, cool-looking cosmetic trap skins. Events are often a great time to get out the traps. You just like the look of them, or you have a lot of nostalgia over a certain trap, because your trap setup doesn't matter quite as much, right? Like the event mice are a little bit easier to catch, and power type isn't, as predominant of a strategy during an event. And in some ways it felt like that took away from some of that fun of finding those cool trap skins that you've had for years, or maybe you just got a new one this year and you get to put it on, right? It's a lot more fun to use a Halloween trap skin in October than it is in November or December. I think that makes sense. So kind of we're brainstorming, and what we're playing around with is moving that boon so that it's not attached to that trap, and instead moving it to the reward track, so it's something you unlock. And as you progress through the event as normal, if you recall from last year, there's a reward track. You can claim some rewards as you brew potions and you progress, and the boon being one of those things that gets activated by the reward track. And that way you don't feel compelled. You don't necessarily need to be using the Boiling Cauldron trap to be enjoying that boon. Spagar, skins with any trap would fix that. Yeah, we're, not to get sidetracked. That is still kicking around in the idea bank. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm for that idea. It's just a matter of having kind of the time and the right kind of resources available to make that happen. Kind of agree it's a good idea. We just don't know when or how we're going to be able to pull that off. Welcome on in, Chew Chatter. Indeed, it's Halloween time. Hank, is +1 gone entirely? No, so that is just for the mouse drake, because the economy of that mouse drake's a little different. So you can almost think like Insidious Incense has 2 effects going for it. It adds +1 to all ingredients, and it will double mouse drake root dropped by mice. So it affects the loot that is dropped by mice. So it's +1, and the only exception to that rule is, hey, mouse drake, it's double. Mouse drake's a little extra potent, just because the mice drop multiple mouse drakes, so that kind of brings it in line with kind of how some of the other loot drops work, where you're getting multiple at a time. For instance, hey, Captain Cannonball dropped 1 avocado, right? So if you get +1 avocado, that's kind of like getting double, right? +1 on 1 is a double, whereas the mice drop 3 mouse drake roots, and so when you get +1, it's only like a little 30% bonus. So it just kind of brings it in line, equalizes it a little bit. So no matter what cheese you're using or what stage of the event you're at, there's more options available. You might save it to use it at a different time, if that makes sense. Will it be impacted by the Alchemist's cookbook base? That is another little bit of a complexity, isn't it? And so, yeah, we're playing around with that a little bit. I think the base will still serve a purpose, but we're kind of trying to unravel that a little bit because there's a lot of effects going on with those two items and they intermingle. But the base will have an effect on those potions as well, but we're still kind of play testing that a little bit. Oh, ice, welcome on in. So the incense sticks, sorry, they stink more now and they make the mice drop more mouse strike. It'd be interesting to explore the narrative of just how the magic effect of that is working. Should lower the requirement for the ultimate charm potion, eh? Well, it's one of the best ones, so that's probably why it costs a little bit more, and that probably makes sense. But you know, on the topic of potions as well, that's something we always revisit with the event when it gets ready to run again. And so we gave a little bit of a pass, and you know, we want to resist to the temptation just to add new potions for the sake of new potions. You know, if there's not a really compelling, rewarding idea that we think a lot of players will utilize. So we took a look at a couple of the potions that might benefit from updating. Just as new areas get added to the game, maybe the potions can gain new abilities. And so the promotion potion is one that we're looking to, add some new options to, as well as the epic cheese potion with the beanstalk around the corner. The epic cheese potion is one that will upgrade a not so epic cheese into an epic tier of cheese. And so, there's some different options we can explore with the beanstalk of taking one of the lower tier cheese and being able to use this potion and make it one of the higher tier bean cheeses. The promotion potion as well, a big part of its identity is it upgrades a lot of the event charms. You can pour it on your spooky charms, your snowball charms, your party charms. But thinking, okay, maybe you're out of the event charms. That seems hard to imagine because they are quite abundant. But, maybe you're out of some of those, or you just want to save them for something else. Maybe just even a more non-event related one. Being able to pour it on maybe an ultimate power charm or an ultimate luck charm and promote it into an ultimate lucky power charm, something like that. Just a few more options, depending on where you are at the game. It might be appeal to you, or, depending on what charms you have in your inventory. And like I said, where you are at the game, you could maybe take or leave it, but that's part of the beauty of the potions. That way there's just more options, more likely that everyone can kind of find the thing that they're looking for, and there's something for everyone that way. MX, how many weeks after the King's giveaway will the Halloween event start? Well, it's not too far away. Let me see if I can see the date, because things are coming together quite well. Next week, we're getting ready to submit the mobile builds up to the App Store and Google Play. And if that all goes well, that's kind of the only thing that's a little bit out of our hands, right? See if I can find the date. So tentatively speaking here, I'm looking at a calendar because dates and times are my Achilles heel here. October 11 is when we would be looking to start the Halloween event if all goes according to plan. I think that is a Wednesday, which makes me think Monday's probably a holiday, Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm testing my knowledge, reciting dates without looking at a calendar here. Scrib, you don't understand the incentive for people to do that. What would it accomplish? Well, I guess I was trying to make it spooky in here, but thanks, Norm, for doing a little bit of ghost busting. I would think would be all the ghosts that were in the chat there. But yeah, Vivified, will there be new potions? We always keep an open mind, like I was saying. But, just want to make sure, hey, if there's an idea for a potion, often it's something that's come up in the past. It's certainly happened over the course of the game's 15-year history. Is sometimes it just kind of things get added because they sound kind of neat and novel, but then sure enough we kind of see nobody really actually uses them, or they're not very impactful, they're not very special, and they just kind of become white noise, and they kind of, in a way, they make what's there a little less special. So that said, it's not like a rule. We're not ever going to add new potions, but when we do, we want it to be that idea that just jumps off the page and says, yep, that is a great idea for a potion, one that we can see a lot of different players making use of. Lynn, are you taking feedback for the King's giveaway? You would suggest a vault visit counter. It would be nice to know how many vaults. Lynn, you can visit the scoreboard and see how many times you visited the vault. So it's a little out of the way. It's not right in your face, but you can visit the scoreboard section of the game And you should be right at the top as well. I think your own row gets highlighted at the top. You can see how many vaults you've cracked open. But certainly, as always, we're kind of keeping our ear to the ground. The whole team shares different feedback and sentiments they come across through various different channels and mediums, and we tend to keep a notepad going. And we set a task for ourselves in our project management software. Like I said, 3-4 months out from when an event's going to start. There's those feedback notes are scheduled, so somebody will pull it up, look it over, and ultimately become responsible for deciding, okay, is there any feedback that we need to take into account for the next time that event runs? And we already have that going for 2024. I wonder if I could find that easily. Let's see. To go a little off topic on Halloween here. We'll see if I'm logged in on this computer here. I certainly am not. All right, password manager to the rescue. Let's see if we can find the King's giveaway. $2024 plus. Look at that. Yeah, we've written down a couple of King's giveaway feedback. Maybe I'll get the Halloween out of the way here as I change topics a little bit. One, actually, this has always been a little bit of a sentiment. We kind of thought it would, fade into the background, but sure enough, every time a giveaway runs, we see similar confusion. We always get bug reports like, hey, a white mouse dropped the prize key. I think you guys have a bug you need to fix. Or, hey, I've only caught 5 prize mice, but I have 8 keys. I think there's a bug. And so it's become apparent it's not very intuitive to have just regular mice drop the prize keys. So that's one thing we have noted down for next time we do a giveaway is maybe we increase the encounter rate of the prize mice by a few percent, and then we just remove the regular mice dropping prize keys. So, as a whole, you get the same number of prize keys, but hopefully that's a lot more intuitive, a little less, unexpected. Because, there's always an outlier or two, but I'm a little surprised actually by how many support inquiries we get about the mice dropping keys and it being a bug or it causing some confusion. So I think there's an easy way to just, smooth out that little wrinkle without reducing the number of keys that you earn. As well as there's a couple little rough edges, and it kind of, is what it is. It was hard to maybe, especially on the mobile side, push out a fix before the giveaway would come to an end. But just some loading states as well, something to be aware of on mobile when you choose your vault prize. That button, unfortunately, was lacking a loading state, so you could double tap it, especially if you're on a slower internet connection. It would take a minute to claim the prize, not a full minute, being colloquially speaking, a couple seconds. And so if you double tapped it, you get an error message because you were trying to claim the vault prize when you already did. So you sent the request to claim the vault prize twice instead of once, and the first one succeeds and everyone after that fails, so you get back an error, or otherwise known as a race condition. So I got that jotted down, and we're going to keep adding to that. I've got some other small things written down for the giveaway, but also we keep an eye on that as the event progresses, and we'll pull that file out next time or a few months before we run the next giveaway. Been a while since you've had Trick or Treat, for sure. There's a lot of nostalgia over the old Trick or Treat event, for sure. And I don't know, when the time comes that maybe Halloween event gets another refresh, as it has over the years, that's often in the back of our minds trying to kind of capture that same special feeling. But, sometimes, it's best to look back on things with fond memories than to try to, pull it back out and have it not work out as well as maybe it once did. Scrib, you think we need more skeletons in the Halloween event? Distinct lack of those spooky boys, eh? Are there any new traps or base, or will Cauldron Book be the only one? Indeed, we're looking to add some new skins as well. But you just kind of, again, file it under, if there's not a super compelling reason for a new trap or a base. I mean, having a few show up and they're more or less collectibles can be fun, but, it's just not something we want to maybe do every single event. And just kind of as the years go by, there's just more and more and more of these things. They're hard to keep track of or remember, why was this thing special, or even if it was special. So, but just kind of something we evaluate on a case-by-case basis. And it might be the type of thing maybe when an event gets a refresh, that's a good time to think about adding new traps or hunting equipment to it. So it's not every single year, it's just every few years that way. Mason, you have no issues with regular mice dropping keys. I want to be clear, if we did go in that direction, I think we would increase the encounter rate of the prize mice a little bit, or add a chance for them to drop 2 keys instead of 1. You know, the goal there wouldn't be necessarily to make fewer keys drop per day. Just kind of shift it into places that are more expected. Yeah, Fleming, fair enough. It was in the news post, eh? But you know, often they get skimmed over. I'm even guilty of that when I'm reading things throughout the day. You know, sometimes you're in a rush and you see there's something new to read and you skim it quickly. You might miss a detail, and it's always best when things just you can learn by doing. Right? You dive in, you start playing the game, and everything just kind of falls into place. You learn it as you go, and it feels fun to learn as you go as well. You don't think that needs to be changed, eh? I could go into a little bit of detail of like what makes that special, kind of how do you think that adds to the fun, having the regular mice drop prize keys? Could explain the keys were made hollow and all the scattered throughout the kingdom. That's why the mice have the keys, eh? I don't think it needs too much explanation, but I think it's clear. There's a non-insignificant number of players that find it confusing. It seems to triple them up. FX, there's still 4 days to turn up the leprechaun encounter rate. It's the rarest mouse in the game for a reason, right? And they're not all that rare, but that's part of its identity, and that's just kind of how that leprechaun works. And even I took well over a decade to finally have one succumb to my trap. So it's the ultimate patience mouse. Rift Potion for Regals, now that the set is completed. That's kind of a neat little idea, Narwhal. Probably not this year, but we'll see. One thing we're trying to hold back on is not to add too many new charms. We want to complete the set as well. But, if we do add a Rift equivalent of the Regal charms, again, it starts to muddy the waters a little bit, where there's a lot of charms that are all extremely similar. And then it just gets harder to remember what all your charms are, which charm you like to use when. So if we're going to make something new, we want to make sure it has a good practical use. And so it doesn't just become noise or clutter. You think the mobster and the leprechaun should drop more keys, eh? Since you can only realistically catch 1 per event. That's fair enough as well. I think they have their special drops at the same time as well, right? Like the mobster drops a generous amount of super brie, and the leprechaun can drop the satchel and the pot of gold as well. So they come with their own bonus, but it's fair enough. I mean, it wouldn't be exactly game breaking if they dropped a few more keys. Fleming, people skimming news posts, what's next, not reading patch notes, eh? No, and we understand too. I mean, not everyone's going to dive through the patch notes. I think they're nice for the players who want to read them. That even weighs into the decision. Your inbox doesn't kind of light up. You don't get pinged when there's a new patch note, only a new news post. And then we can kind of curate. All right, here's something that maybe a lot of players need to read. And here's something that's more, well, if you're interested, it's there. Dustin, you feel like you had a lot more encounters with the prize mice on the first day and more keys than the rest of the days. Is there a reason, or just luck? It's just luck. I mean, when like with anything where there's not a lot of strategy, right? And it's just part of the giveaway. And I don't think if every event worked this way, it would probably be a little frustrating. But it's unique to the giveaway. It really is. It's a raffle, right? There's not a lot of agency. There's not a lot of choices to be made. There's not a lot of strategy to employ, other than maybe hunt quite a bit. But there's not a lot you can do to influence the outcome of it. And it's understandable. Sometimes our minds start playing tricks on us. We start looking for patterns where there are none. But rest assured, we haven't touched the encounter rates while it's going. But just kind of random things happening, and we try to find patterns where there are none, right? And I think it's just natural. Anytime where, like I said, it's a raffle. There's no control. You don't really have your hands on the steering wheel deciding where you're going. You're along for the ride wherever the driver decides to take you. And so it's natural. Our minds start to look for explanations where maybe there are no explanations. John, do you think that prize keys sometimes dropping from regular mice is being a factor, the main point of the prize keys, and always drop from prize mice as a bonus? Yeah, I think that was some of the intention as well, to kind of make it so, you get this stream of prize keys, and it helps the prize mice feel extra special. But, sometimes the theories don't always work out in practice. Then giveable keys as the daily gift the last day as well. They're in their loyalty chest, so I think they already trickle in enough. I don't know if they need to be a gift item as well. That might be a little bit awkward. Submit the trap to Mr. Leprechaun. Eh? Lynn Gratz, you caught your Leprechaun this year. Congratulations. Vivi, how many golden goose do you have now? Well, I have the physical trap, and I was pretty content with that. Now I'm just a fertilizer farmer. I'm just stockpiling fertilizer to maybe use at an opportune moment in the future. Scrib, just don't have the Leprechaun drop a collectible ever. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's one of those goals that may or may not be obtained, and there's not a lot of agency surrounding it. I think in and of itself, it's just unlocking that silhouette is about as far as that should ever be pushed. But it's all part of it's weaved into the history of the game as well. When the game first launched, we thought, well, no one's going to play this unless there's some sort of hook to it, right? And that's why the prize mice were in since day one. It's like, well, hey, you can play this really simple game where mice just come to your Facebook profile. Literally over 15 years ago, it would be a mouse trap on your Facebook profile that got added back when you could actually have widgets on your profile. So you could just see this trap, and then just, that was the idea. Just what if mice walk over to your Facebook profile and sometimes you catch one? And sometimes it's a prize mouse, and there's a chance to win prizes by playing. That was the whole kind of elevator pitch, if you will, for the game. But it became abundant that the game is plenty fun without prizes. But that kind of left the prize mice as a bit of a legacy identity, or they're a bit of a, homage to how the game's roots, I guess. It's a little part of the game's history that still carry forward to this day, I suppose. MX, with the giveaway becoming more interesting here. Man, I'll get the Halloween out from behind me again. We're on the giveaway mode here. We are on giveaway mode in the chat. MX, with the giveaway becoming more interesting with the new update, will it become an annual event? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if the intention is to have a giveaway every single year. But yeah, definitely we have some other things that we would have liked to maybe try with the giveaway as well. But kind of start the vault, get some really feedback from that. And we have some ideas of maybe how to make the vault a little bit more fun as well. So, we'll see, time permitting, right? And it might be one of those good events to kind of keep, when there's a gap. Whereas like there hasn't been anything going on. It's just nice. And any MouseHunt and other games like it's just nice when every once in a while there's something new to check out. It's this long-term game that you can just play and play and play, and numbers are going up and you just keep progressing. It's nice to just have some fresh stuff to dive into, especially the giveaway is nice where it doesn't really distract from what you're doing too much, right? It takes place pretty much anywhere, and you might change where you hunt if you really want to make sure you're using your strongest trap, but beyond that, it's fairly accommodating to work whenever. So that's a long way of saying I don't know, we'll see. Actually, that was a very long-winded way of saying that. DSC, when can we have more cheeses for the Calibrator? It's something we review regularly, and just as areas kind of age, their cheese gets added to the Calibrator. And it's one of the challenges with the game. The intention there is to just help, very in a minor way, compress some of the older areas. As you can imagine, if you start playing MouseHunt tomorrow and you have a friend who's been playing for 10 years, it's difficult to get to the point where you can play together. And you shouldn't just be able to warp whistle your way straight to the end, because that wouldn't be very fun. That would feel like you didn't have a very interesting journey as well. But just a way to just speed it up just slightly a little bit, but always being cognizant not to either diminish previous accomplishments either, because that can kind of take away from some of the fun. So it's a tricky balance to get right. But the Calibrator is one tool we have in the toolbox to just tune that a little bit. It's one of the more minor tools, I'd say. Nathan, you like having relaxed events that don't make you feel the need to max out the effort. Yeah, it's just nice to have the different seasons of events. I'd agree, different flavors, and something where you just chill out and just see what happens throughout the course of the event versus, sitting down and strategizing and having to make a lot of choices or changing your trap setup too much. A beer based off Prize My Scoreboard is the majority of the player base Elder rank now. I don't have that number right in front of me, but I don't know if that would be a direct correlation. But needless to say, the higher level hunters probably hunt a few more times a day than lower level hunters, and they have more powerful traps as well. So that can kind of contribute to capturing more prize mice. They have better traps that are more likely to capture them, and they probably sound their horn a few more times a day. I'm having trouble keeping up on chat. I'll try my best here. Narwhals missed 2 leprechauns. I think I had to miss over 10 before I finally got one. So patience, and it will all pay off. Dallas, the giveaway's great. Will you ever see a return of the Royal Challenge? Those were fun. No plans to return those, but that was a fun idea. I mean, never say never, but you know, it's tough. It's tough. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's a lot of great ideas out there. Ashley, any data on what is being picked most from the giveaway vault? You know, off the top of my head, I don't know if that was something we were logging from the giveaway, but that would certainly be interesting to check out. Jonathan, your fertilizer farming, that would be hugely boosted during Lunar New Year. All right, you're onto my strategy as well, Jonathan. I think that's a pretty solid one. Narwhal, you remember playing every day back in computer class, eh? Daryl, 14 years ago, you recall the old days, hard times, but great times, eh? Yeah. Dustin's liking the update to the vault for sure. Yeah, there's some things we want to toy around with. Maybe the ability to shuffle the prizes in the vault. Maybe you could use your keys. If you don't like the 3 options, you could use a key or multiple keys, or I don't know, subject to however it ends up working out, to shuffle them. So you could pick different things. There's a few other ideas too. Even just the visual representation of the vault, we could probably make that a little bit more fun as well. But you know, sometimes start simple, see how it goes, take feedback, and that might inspire even bigger and better ideas. So sometimes it's nice just to iterate where you can. Will Halloween start once the King's giveaway ends, Narwhal? Hopefully I remember correctly. Our goal is October 11th to start the Halloween event, if all goes according to plan. But you know, obviously we're still doing play testing things out. We still have to submit our mobile builds. They need to be approved by Apple and Google as well. So you know, sometimes we try to do that early enough that if there is a holdup or some sort of hiccup there, that we have time to resolve it before the event will begin as well. But that's our goal. That's our goal. It's not a guarantee, but it's a goal. It's a target date, if I can phrase it that way. Alex, if it becomes more annual, please make sure the personal cooldown doesn't overlap between events. Yeah, what is the cooldown at? I don't believe we've touched it since last year. So the personal cooldown, the Leprechaun is 300 days and the Mobster is 120. So there's a little bit of leeway there, right? Where it's not a full 365 days. So as long as a giveaway doesn't overlap within 10 months of each other, then you know, it should be good. But I think we maybe as a few years ago just kind of rounded that down to 300 from 365 in case a giveaway, you know, starts within, you know, a month of it being a full year since one ended. Charizard, does min luck affect the prize mice? In the news post, we tried to detail the bonuses a little bit, but you know, there's a lot of special equipment and things in the game, so you know, I can understand it might have a lot of moving parts to it. But essentially, that number you see in the box down there, when you hover over your trap selector and you see how much luck you have, it works the same as every other mouse. So it's your trap versus the mouse when it shows up. So you could indeed, you know, min luck the mice, you know, and be guaranteed to capture it if you reach enough luck. Some things are exempt though. The one that jumps to mind is the Froma Rift Droid bonus, right? Where you have just hundreds of thousands of trap power and a massive luck number. Those ones aren't included. So it's more kind of your, you know, your weapon, your base, your cheese, your charm, those stats, the components of your trap, not so much the special stuff that's going on provided by the area. So, you know, that includes your prestige base, right? Because it's your base is giving you the power. You don't, you know, it isn't a bonus in the Valor Rift giving you a massive boost. No, your base has that stats. There you go. Narwhal thinks it's 117 luck to min luck. The Leprechaun. Look at that. I would be close. I don't have enough good charms to hit 117, but I'm hoping 106 is good enough for me. MX, there's some ideas about why the global cooldown was implemented for the prize mice. Could you share the actual reason? It goes way, way back to probably 2008, 2009. Probably, I can remember if it wasn't in the first months of the game, it was probably in the first year of the game. The first time somebody caught 2 mobsters in the same day. It was, you know, understandably a little bit frustrating for other players, and we thought, well, that just kind of makes sense. Like a lot of kind of giveaway stuff like that. It's like, well, if you've recently won, you have to wait a while before you can win again. You know, just give everyone else a chance. And I think that's just in the spirit of overall, just making it a little bit more fun. Hopefully that makes sense. And that was kind of why it was originally implemented. That was been that way for, you know, over a decade and a half, I guess now, if I had to guess. Is that cooldown after encounter or after catch? We're going to test the limits of me without looking directly at the code here, but it should be catch. Yeah, it's the cooldown on you catching it. And you know, that in the past, actually, when the cooldowns were a little bit different, that would cause some weirdness, right? If you were a lower level player with not a very powerful trap, you like couldn't get the cooldown to trigger. You might encounter the mice, but you could just never capture a prize mice. Even makes me think back, I don't know what year it was. We only did it once because, oh boy, it wasn't fun. Prize power. If you can remember when we tried to add some agency to the giveaway many years ago, like I was saying earlier, the giveaway is one of those events where it plays you. You know, like you have to see how it plays out. That's a better way of phrasing it. You don't have a lot of choices to be made. You don't have a lot of influence on the outcome. So we thought, oh, what if we can add, you know, you have a little bit of influence every time you, or like throughout the day, you would accumulate this prize power. And the higher your prize power goes, the more likely you are to encounter a prize mouse, any, you know, available prize mouse. And then when you capture a prize mouse, it resets your prize power. So it's like, okay, it could have been a treasure, or it could have been a leprechaun, or anywhere in between. But capturing that mouse would reset your prize power, and you build it back up to get a mouse. But that introduced some, I think, frustrating things that weren't even our intention when it came out, like trying to get the mice on cooldown, then raise your prize power when you have a specific prize mouse that isn't on cooldown. Or like I said, if you're a lower level player with a weak trap, your prize power would just keep going up. And even the treasure mouse was just too much for your trap. The treasure mouse, you just couldn't capture it with a 500-pound spike crusher. So you just keep encountering this treasure mouse and you just keep whooping your butt, but you keep accumulating prize power. And especially when they weren't bonus hunts, that just became very frustrating and weird. So, you know, a case in point, that was an experiment that just didn't work out. And it was just a little bit fundamentally flawed and became obvious as that version of that event played out. You know, lesson learned. Ice, was there a year you forgot about the cooldown? They did overlap a little bit, and you know, it's just something we never gave thought before. I think we did a giveaway and they were, you know, 11 months apart from one another. So, you know, if you had a leprechaun from the last giveaway, it would still be on cooldown during that one. And you know, we thought, you know, all things considered equal, so well, the rules are once a year, but we kind of see how that's kind of not fun, right? Like the encounter rate goes up during the giveaways, so you know, the hindsight, I think it made sense. It was a good change to make. Fleming, all I hear is ultimate charm will catch the leprechaun. Time to hunt with them 24/7. If you have 2 weeks worth, it's a long shot, Fleming. It's a bold strategy. You can see if it plays out. Ryan, this year you caught a mobster. You caught a mobster the day yesterday, and a leprechaun now needs more long cooldown timing again. How long more cooldown? I don't know if I quite follow what you're trying to ask there, Ryan. I apologize. Gold, you've been playing for 14 years, still haven't caught leprechaun. Missed 5 though. Well, that's the name of the leprechaun game. Sometimes, like I said, even myself, I had to miss over 10 before finally luck went my way. Oh boy, you know what? I don't know if I can't say with absolute certainty if a ultimate charm works on a leprechaun. I would need to sit down and verify that before we dole out any misinformation. So we'll leave it at that. I don't have it right in front of me to say with absolute certainty. Jonathan, they're talking about the global cooldown as if somebody else has recently won, you can't catch it. It's a very, very small window in the giveaway. It is fractions of a minute. It is measured in seconds, not minutes. Welcome on in, Double Dash. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Glad you're enjoying the game. Well, shall we cover the trivia here? We've gone over some giveaway feedback. We touched base on Halloween as well. Some feedback that we had from the last Halloween event. In touching base on what we're exploring with, even, you know, I don't know if it's any easier as well, but even have a copy of the Halloween event running right here. Whoa, that is a quick horn. That is a 0-second horn. That's too fast. That's a little too fast even. But actually here, I wonder if we can demonstrate. Do I have some reagent? Let's get brewing. Do we have scream cheese? We do. Let's use some scream cheese and let's ignite the incense. See if we can get this working here. So here you can see, especially when you have the scream cheese arm, the mice drop mouse drake, but it's, you know, it's in larger quantities. And so that was feedback we had from last year was it was very underwhelming. Very underwhelming, especially as the event kind of winds down. You're using your Scream Cheese a lot. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to use this stuff for? So rather than a +1 just for Mouse Drake, having it double, everything else is still +1. If I take my cheese down a little bit here, I got more Mouse Drake even with the Ghost Cheese. There we go. An avocado was +1, but the Mouse Drakes are doubled. And to be honest, actually, I'm wondering if the mice, I think the mice can drop more than one ingredient at once, but if they didn't, that might be an easier way to explain it. But now I'm just thinking out loud. As well as the boon, adding that to the reward track. A reward for completing the reward track is what we're playtesting right now. And that'll kind of free you up where you don't need to use the Boiling Cauldron trap to get that boon going, so you can enjoy kind of the the cosmetic trap skins that you enjoy the best. But sometimes it's easier to take a look at an example than just theorize. Scrib, you're gonna do a rainbow party map. It's always fun. Hey, they go well with the giveaway as well, and that's a nice thing about the vault now. Maybe that's not your cup of tea, right? And cool. Now you can pick something else when the rainbow maps pop up, or you can have one or two in case you want to do one later, and then if it's not what you want, you can choose not to pick it. So hopefully that lands things in a better place. Or if you're just looking for something to do while the giveaway is active, rainbow maps are kind of a nice way to move around and capture some relatively easier mice as well. So you can use a trap that you think looks good, or you can use just a good powerful trap in case a prize mouse comes around. But alas, this week's trivia question, try to make it Halloween themed. Which Halloween mouse occasionally drops a shuffler's cube? And sure enough, I glance back at chat. I think John has it right. It is the MouseHunt Priestess. You are correct, John. That mouse was added in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And just because it has a little bit of a labyrinth flair, and I'm pretty sure that was maybe the first Halloween event after the labyrinth came out. Don't quote me on that, but that's I seem to recall that being, it feels right. It certainly feels right. And just as a little Easter egg, she does, and to this day, she still occasionally drops a shuffler's cube. I'll put this link in the chat for your clicking convenience. Lewis, how do people know this? It's always a surprise when that pops up. It's a little bit of an Easter egg, Hey, she's a MouseHunt, just like the Minotaur. And so it carries some labyrinth supplies just every now and then. Not every time. It's just an occasional loot drop, a little surprise. There you go, Norm, thank you. Yes, indeed. Lower tier mice drop more ingredients per catch. There you go. So indeed, I'd have to arm my cheese down. That doesn't make sense. Arm it down. Let's do it. Let's go all the way down. Let's use some super brief for a bit. This horn is too fast. It's too much hunting here. I'm going to crash my computer. There you go. So 5 pumpkins, but you get +1. You get +1 on everything except the Mouse Drake. It'll double the Mouse Drake. And the tooltip has been updated accordingly. Even revised we're jumping around all over the place. This is just hodgepodge Feedback Friday today. Updated the Spooky Shuffle a little bit. Let's see how well we can play this. I'm telling you, resist the urge to have a notepad. If you do it from memory, I'm telling you, it's more fun. You can't feel the thrill of victory without the threat of defeat. Just let your memory be your guide. All right, let your memory be your guide. Where was the credit? See, here we go. I know I saw the credit. Was it there? But that feels good right there. That was an okay board. Let's do another board. That's just great. That's just great when that happens. That is just great when that happens. Uh-oh. I know we saw... Oh, all right. We've had enough coffee today. Where was the fuel? Is it there? No, that was the credit. Darn. All right. Whoa, 128 harp strings. That looks new. Getting lucky here. There's the harp strings. There's the credits. Were they there? Yes. Oh, we are just on the edge of our seats. Look at that. All right, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about that board. I feel pretty good about that board. Jonathan, it was an educated guess, eh? You thought the Mousesator, Minotaur, Labyrinth, Shuffler's Cube. There you go. Well, you got what we were going for. Now, what was the reason for moving away from the first Halloween maze idea with the 2 different cheeses? Well, just all good things come to an end. It's just a fact of life, I suppose. And it's just good to refresh an event every once in a while. And certainly as the years go by, kind of, slowly the feedback starts to accumulate a little bit more year after year, that there's a little bit of a hunger for something new. Lynn, you didn't know she could drop a cube, but I never seen her drop. But I have seen her drop oil. She can drop lantern oil too. I think you're right, Lynn. That sounds right to me. Labyrinth was released in 2015, not 2014. I've been misled. Who this morning said 2014? All right, I'm just going to blame them. I'll dodge the blame. No, I should have verified. Scrib, you think using a notepad is weak sauce, eh? There's not that many options. It's challenging for me. My memory's short. Okay, my memory's short. So it's a good way to exercise, those memory cells in the brain. These are technical terms like memory cells. So it's good, you can just reinforce your memory. Dustin, you just want us to waste tickets. Oh boy, no, I don't think any of us are as sinister as that. I'm just having some fun. Who's can't wait for November. It will be your 15th mouse anniversary. Well, congrats. I'm feeling glad to see you've been enjoying the game for so long. 128 harps. Was it dusted or undusted? Please also take note. Where did it go? There are some messages. The camera's flipped. There are some messages there. Work in progress, subject to change. But that was a dusted board with those harp strings. I did do a dusted board. But, that's something we're kind of play testing. But I like to do a few, runs, kind of just get the conversation started, see what sentiments. Stress day, it's Feedback Friday, and sometimes it'll be candid, it'd be a little bit stressful when we're kind of sharing ideation, work in progress stuff. But I think it's healthy. I think it's a healthy part of the creative process, and it's something we've done for pretty much 15 years now, and I think it's just helps make the game better. It helps keep us more aligned with dev and player mentality stays a lot more aligned. We kind of get the overall sentiments, and kind of is often, sometimes I'll say it's like feeling the pulse a little bit. Just make sure that the way we think and the way players think don't drift too far apart that way. But sometimes there's some teething, or there's a little friction in sharing some ideas, and it can be sad. Sometimes we share ideas and they ultimately don't make it into the game, and there's frustration from players, or there's some sadness about seeing something that didn't work out, or we share something and the opposite happens. So it can be a little bit stressful sometimes sharing work in progress, but I think it is a healthy part of the creative process, and hopefully it does more good than harm. I like to think it does. Swift, you like the sandcastle event? That's going back a few years as well. I thought that was a pretty unique theme as well, the sandcastle. Arn, could it be an idea to bring back the old events retro style once or so? Alas, it's not as easy as flipping a switch to turn the events back on. There's a surprising amount of work that goes into even the Cauldron event, getting it up and running. It's a few weeks to kind of get everything back up and running. There's some things are turnkey, but there's just always a little bit of work in just getting everything good to go and testing it all out. And some of those old events, if they ran, especially like 10, 12, 13 years ago, they're gone. There's just no way they would work in the modern game now. So if anything, I think we'd look back on previous events for inspiration, do a little bit of something in the spirit of an old event. But it's just not practical for us to run an old event again, even for nostalgia's sake. John, you don't remember, do we still have the knocking on the door? No, the profiles as well. It was tricky to find. It was fun. I think it worked well at the trick-or-treat style event. And so if we ever do something like that again, I think we would visit it. But in some ways, it was a little bit more trouble than it was worth. It was very difficult to pull off and have it feel meaningful. I think, we held on to it a little bit because it was a lot of fun and it worked really well in the trick-or-treat style event where you go around to your friends' doors and ring the doorbell and they choose to trick-or-treat you. But we've never been able to capture that same fun idea through a profile mechanic. So I think we were kind of forcing it a little bit because we were just, from nostalgia, we are a little attached to that. That said, I wouldn't rule it out, right? If the right idea comes along to utilize profiles, to visiting your friends, and it feels fun, then great. But, hey, if it's not working, we don't want to force it. Lucy, you liked the winter hunt event with the sleigh that had the fireworks above the houses. I think that introduced the Joy Mouse, if I'm not mistaken. That was a pretty fun one, too. Is there any chance of some of the Ellie traps? Alas, no. Ellie, unless we dramatically change our minds, Ellie means Ellie. It means it doesn't come back. Ryan, you've been accumulating your prize keys. You're going to use them all in the end. I've been kind of doing the same. Every once in a while, I open up one vault just for fun, but I've been kind of stockpiling my keys as well. That's awfully fun. I think what am I at? I'm at 98. I think I've opened 9 vaults though, so clearly I can't resist using those a little bit. Where am I at? I've opened up 9 vaults. And I have 98 keys. We'll see, I'll try to resist. I think I'm going to do my vaults when the giveaway comes to an end in 3 days. So you'll still have a week to use up your keys. All the mice will stop dropping keys. So it's a nice decisive moment to start using up your keys. As well as some of the promotional bundles and the Super Bee sale will come to an end as well. So there's kind of, for all intents and purposes, the giveaway will end in 3 days. But it's just kind of 1 week to use up your keys. But pretty well everything else goes away. Scrib, you humbly request fertilizer being a rare reward from a dusted board. I think fertilizer is one of those things where the only way you're ever going to be able to get it is at the beanstalk location. It's just too important of a resource to be able to accumulate it from an event. So I never say never, but at least right now, pretty adamant feelings against adding fertilizer as any sort of event reward. Alex, do you find yourself playing that demo without the 15-minute cooldown? Well, for practical reasons, we have to do some testing that way, that's for sure. But yeah, I do find myself every once in a while, if I'm working on something now, it's just instinct. You see the horn, you want to click it, and I catch myself clicking it over and over. It's like, wait, what am I doing? It's not going to go away, no matter how many times you click it. What time is it here? We should probably wrap things up shortly here as well. I got that one last horn call in. I'm finishing up a ballroom run. I'm being chased out of the ballroom in an what room am I in here? Indeed, I'm in an extreme golden harp room. Scrib, knocking on the door was a thing. It'd be nice if it dropped in green to remind you of the profile Christmas trees. See, that's a kind of a nice, fun, intuitive idea, right? Like leaving presents that you can open up and, leaving them under your friend's tree. But we'll see. I don't know. The current iteration of a Halloween event doesn't necessarily lend itself well to going trick-or-treating. But, I'm sure every time we start talking about refreshing the Halloween event, it's part of the conversation. So, who knows what the future may hold. And a good time you go to visit friends and you had cobwebs and you had to nudge them. It just all worked very well thematically. If you visited a friend and they hadn't played in a while, their profile had cobwebs on it. And you got to clear the cobwebs, and then you got to keep the cobweb, which you got to buy some stuff from the shop from the cobwebs, or otherwise I think the cobweb mouse would drop cobwebs as well. And it was kind of neat too, because at the time the game was pretty exclusively a Facebook game as well. So you'd even get a little Facebook notification saying, so and so came and rang your doorbell, you weren't home. So sometimes it would bring a friend back to the game to play with, which was fun, but it's kind of reminiscing about the old days now, I guess. Popcorn still holding on to 5 cobwebs in your vintage item collection. And Dustin, you do 10 keys at a time. You don't partially open things. Glad to hear that's getting some use. It seemed pretty obvious that you'd want a button just to open up the 10 small packs. Because all 10 small packs combined, it's a nice little decent reward, right? But the vault's the more exciting part. So glad to see it's getting some use. Can we extend login rewards to a greater length, stretch to 30 days or longer? It is something in the idea bank. At least me personally, I think there's sentiment on the team, and I've seen the feedback from players often enough. The daily rewards are a little underwhelming, right? Hey, never look a gift horse in the mouth. There's something for you to get every day. But yeah, they could. I think they could be a little bit more creative without being a lot of mental effort to claim them. At the same time, I think that's an important part of them. It's just something you get for quickly checking in. It's in the idea bank. It's just we don't have time to sit down and revise it. But there's been some proposals over the years, so it's something we're open to. It's just there's only so many hours in the day, and there's more good ideas than there are hours in the day. It certainly feels like. Speaking of hours in the day, I should probably head out soon so I can utilize some of these hours in the day to be working on some things. Nara, you meant the idea of an upgradable event traps again. There are some rough edges around that where if you get in a trap from an event and then you upgrade it, you no longer have the old trap. And I think we'd have ways around it. But anyway, it's good food for thought. Nathan, fertilizer should be hard to get. The top egg guy's going to get the diamond prince before bronzing. The fertilizer is it's an important resource. I think it would be a long time before there'd be a trickle of that coming in anywhere else. And it would just feel weird if you show up to the area on the first day and somehow you've managed to accumulate 100 fertilizer. If anything, clicking that would be kind of anticlimactic if you didn't have any harp strings or ruby cheese. But Scrib, what if each player has a farm patch you can go pilfer for ingredients? Say it's just something like that. Yeah, if there's a fun way to tie it in with the narrative, Like I said, it's an interesting tool to have in the design toolbox, but we don't want to force it for the sake of having it. Dallas does 10 keys at a time. I do as well. Alex, you're heading out to a meeting. Thanks, Dave. I'm heading out soon as well, as I've said a couple times here, and I'm slowly getting caught up on chat here. Let's see if we can do it. Flemmy, no more daily rewards from now on, daily challenges. Alas, I don't think anything like that. Like I said, I think a key part of the identity, especially in MouseHunt, is something you get quickly for checking in. Because MouseHunt's a game you play slowly, right? So even if you had a little mission to do every day, because MouseHunt's such a slow-paced game, that might become your entire day. Even if we say, go capture this mouse, it's like, well, it's going to take me like 14 hours to set up to capture that mouse. So it's not a good design space for MouseHunt. It'd have to just be something you get without having to really do anything special for. Dustin, thanks for taking the time to chat with us. Thanks for joining me, Dustin. Peter, thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate you and all the team do this. Well, that's nice, Peter. That's nice to read every now and then. Certainly, I always take it as a compliment reading, frustrations. Often those come up. I think that's natural. When somebody has a complaint, they tell 10 people. When they have something nice to say, they tell one person. It's a fact of life. And, we can all try to change that for the better in our own lives. But, it's nice. That helps recharge the creative batteries a little bit. Because it's a little easier to read positive feedback. That said, the negative feedback is invaluable as well. And we always try to parse it through the lens of, why is somebody saying that and how can we use that to make things more fun. Diamond, I hope you have a great weekend as well. Nyan, thank you for joining me as well. Nathan, Dave likes us too much to leave. I think that's what's happening, Nathan. I think that's clearly what's happening. Lynn, more strong riff charm on board. Oh, we better not go on a whole other tangent of conversation. But, Dev, I'll give compliments to Dev Jake, put a lot of hard work in overhauling charms not too long ago, trying to get them in a good place where they all had a strong identity. There's still some work left to be done as well to tie up some loose ends. But that's where we want to go as well. Just kind of extend the runway. Where do we want to go with like end game charms for the next 5, 10, 15 years? Just kind of future-proof things a little bit. There's ideas in the works, but they may take time to unfold as more high-level areas get released. So it would be weekly challenges or something. Yeah, if anything like that, it would have to almost be like quarterly. There'd be like these, like a seasonal challenge that comes up and you have 3 months to do it. Because like I said, MouseHunt's just a slow-paced game, but that might start to feel like the Relic Hunter a little bit as well, and that introduced some rough edges. But anyway, we're getting in the dangerous area of just open-ended brainstorming, and we risk something sounding like an announcement. Lady Nutsy, hope you have a great weekend as well. I think it's a challenge here. Can I catch up in the chat before saying goodbye here? Brian, thanks for keeping the game going so long. Thank you for keeping it going. It's the players that keep the game going so long. I think you have a lot more to do with it than we do. That's for sure. Is there any hunter close to bronze crowning the leper? I don't know off the top of my head, Lewis, to be honest. Floating Islands is a great place to earn gold because they're so broke in the beanstalk, eh? Yeah, Floating Islands, and it's nice. It's nice that different areas have different identities, and, hey, if everything's all equal, then nothing's special that way. So it's nice that different areas have different avenues to that. So I would agree. That's a nice special part of the Floating Islands. Jake needs to hunt more. He is slacking, eh? I think he's doing his best, Nathan. Scrib, take care. We only got 4 minutes left. See ya indeed. I'm going to try to end this off before noon. And last message in the chat, and I'm caught up. What happened to the attraction charms, Grant? We're slowly phasing out attraction bonus. I think there's just so many more interesting bonuses in the game. It's just antiquated. The fail to attract is... is just kind of an unfun mechanic, you know. And I can understand the sentiment. It's like, oh, come on, it makes it a little, you know, tough. But I think there's just more fun ways to challenge players than just saying, haha, nothing happened, wait 15 minutes. You know, we can reward you for making good choices rather than just punish you for no particular reason or something completely out of your control. So I think we just got so many more interesting tools in the toolbox now. We're just slowly phasing out. There's some work to be done, though. We got to add unique encounter pools. It's going to take a long time to do that. But, you know, it's just, that's a long-term design goal, is to slowly phase out fail to attract, and that's one step towards that. But last, for real this time, I'm going to head out. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Happy hunting. Good luck in the remainder of the King's giveaway. Remember, you got 3 days left on the giveaway. Then you'll have a week to use up those keys. Don't forget to use them up. Visit the vault. Good luck, everybody. Happy hunting. I'll probably see you in a couple weeks. It'll probably be Jacob's turn next week. So I'll have a good one.
1, 2.
You're a trap. Don't seem to mind it. You attract me. I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry. Oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out